everybody. It is so good to have you here with me. Imagine if you have your vision as the car with the right team. Imagine how quick that vision will come into the pit stop. Something that was taking 5 years takes 3 months. This morning is all about the leadership and influence. It's that time of the morning again. This is Tuesday morning with your host Carl Hendricks here on the Inside Show. Well, I tell you, we are living in very, very exciting times in South Africa and worldwide if it comes to the political arena. And this morning we have wonderful people in our studio here, and also one wonderful person on Zoom call here, and we just want to welcome each and everyone. But before we get into the show this morning, a beautiful packed show about the mayoral candidates of Johannesburg, and that's of course for every party here. It doesn't matter where you are in South Africa, everybody will be representative here this morning. And this morning I would love you, please, if you don't mind, just hit that bell. You will every time know that we are online, and also please connect with us. Just sign on the Inside Show. And every single time, this whole month will be packed with political parties. And then we were just going to hear exactly what they believe, their manifestos, what they do and the don'ts. And it's also lovely to see exactly how they differ from one to the other. Of course, I also trust and hope that this will help you to make a qualitative decision around who you want to vote for in this up and coming election, the 1st of November. Well, with me in the studio here, first of all, before I get into the guest here, I have a co-host here with me here this morning, and everybody knows him, everybody loves him, none than Attie Van Nel with us here. This is a political guru in the spiritual atmosphere, and this man understands his subject and topic. Good morning, Mr. Van Nel. A warm welcome.
Good morning, Doc. What a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the invite and for the privilege to be hosting this morning with you. I think this is important, that on a platform such as this, we enable discussion and we assist the electorate to make an informed decision.
That's great. With us also here, we have the leading party in the country with us here, the spokesperson for Johannesburg region here with us, the ANC, Mr. Sasabona Manganye. Thank you so much for joining with us here. Good morning, sir, and a warm welcome to you.
Good morning to your viewers, and thanks for the invitation.
Thank you so much for accepting the invitation and being so kind. Also with us here, we have Pastor Ashley Sauls from the PA, the PA Party. I remember the other day he was sitting outside some chicken licking place, and I didn't know he will end up with the PA Party, but he's with the PA here. A warm welcome to Ashley Sauls. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence again.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you very much for having us in the studio, and it's good to be here.
Well, I think we're gonna start immediately, and if there's anyone with any questions, our producer would love just to gather all those questions, and we would love to pose the questions to. Of course, let me just mention we also invited the leader of the Action Party. Also, he's also the standing mayoral candidate, Mr. Herman Mashaba. One reason or the other, he didn't show up in the studio this morning for I don't know, most probably lost or something like that. But if he walked through the doors, we will surely make him comfortable in the studio, and we will allow him in onto the show. Thank you so much. To Mr. Sasabona, let's start off with you. Just to get us started, share with us briefly how ready you feel as a party for the elections. And I know it's a mouthful saying here in terms of funding, in terms of the councilor selection, in terms of connecting with a disillusioned voter base and the election machinery and the right message. I know it's a handful, but I just want you just to get the ball rolling for us, and then we'll take it up from there. Just hope that we don't hear anything in the studio here with us. We just want to make double sure that we hear. Just hold it there, sir.
Sorry, I was muted.
Was it you? Okay, fine. That's it. We will forgive you. We will forgive you.
Thank you so much. But just again, briefly share a little about for the elections in terms of the funding. How's it going in the councillor selection, connecting to the disillusionated voter base, the election machinery, and the right message? I know it's a handful, but if you don't mind, just let us just jump into the conversation.
Yeah, no, thanks very much. The African National Congress have definitely within a short space of time tried our level best to prepare ourselves for these elections. And one must admit that definitely there is not enough time. But at the end of the day, we had to do what we can do to ensure that we comply with our own internal organizational policies. For instance, when we did selection of our councillors, especially ward councillors, we have allowed communities to make a determination on who must become the ward councillor. Our councillors, 135 in the city of Johannesburg, who are ward based, have been selected by the public, the community members themselves. That's why we are confident that the community members who have selected them through the ANC run process will be able also to support them on the 1st of November when we elect the new government. And, in terms of, the campaign in itself, as I have indicated, we do not have enough time for the campaign, but we are trying all different kind of innovative ways to reach out to, our people. The ANC traditionally, we campaign through door to door. We are still maintaining that traditional way of interacting with people directly. But the good thing about the door to door is that the ANC has been with the people even before elections campaign. So it is easier for the ANC to go to different communities within Johannesburg, because in each and every ward we have got structures of the ANC which have been interacting with the people. They played a role even during the COVID period to ensure that our people understand what this COVID is about and what are the government programs that seeks to assist the people. You will know that when we took over the city of Johannesburg with the government of local unity partners, we took over in 2019 December. Immediately 2020 March, just 3 months after we took over, there was COVID. So basically we were a government in COVID. The other 3 years was the DA working with the EFF who governed the city.
Just before we come to Pastor Sauls and to allow him to do the same thing, I'm certain, in all honesty, since 94, coming into an elections, by your own admission, if we read the report of Halima Motlanthe that was tasked to look into councillor dissatisfaction, I'm certain you will agree that since 94, you may not have entered an election as uncomfortable as this. We have the widespread national protest about councillor selection. When we switch on the TV, there's people toying outside Lutuli House. The issue of money, the party funding bill has dried up some of those resources. As we heard Mr. Pule Mabe and even the TG, the Treasurer General, opining the other day. So even from a money point of view, from a machinery point of view. But thirdly, internally, I mean, the Secretary General is on suspension. There's an acting Secretary General. There's a number of influential people at home due to the step-aside rule. I'm certain, just from an organizational point of view, you had never had such amount of internal problems coming into an election. What's your comment?
Yeah, look, the reality is that we do have challenges, and these challenges comes with our commitment to renew ourselves as an organization and ensure that we reclaim the former glory of the African National Congress, The African National Congress that must be led by leaders who uphold high moral grounds in society, leaders who are ethical, leaders who are selfless. So you will understand that in 2017 in Nazareth, we have made that determination to renew ourselves. And renewing ourselves, it came with consequences. And what are the consequences? The consequences are that, even, any one of us who is found to have been implicated or charged had to step aside. And that is why you see the Secretary General and many other members, leaders of the ANC in other structures that have managed to step aside. It's on the basis of our commitment to renew ourselves, and it should not be seen in a negative light. It should be seen in a positive light because it is meant to reclaim the former glory of the ANC. The issue of the party funding.
Are you scared?
Many of the communities where you have councillor selection disputes, that those communities might A, boycott the vote, or B, take their vote to an independent, or C, vote for a completely different party. Because remember, the official position of the ANC after the Kgalema Motlanthe report is that you can only fix the councillor selection problems after the November 1 elections. Are you concerned that up to that elections and on election day, there may be repercussions visited on your candidates who were imposed onto them by regions and provinces?
In Johannesburg, we are not that much concerned. I think we are affected by less than 5 wards. It's about 2 or 3 wards, if I'm not mistaken, but it's not more than 5. Generally, all our ward candidates are the ones that have been selected by the public meeting. And even the challenges that we are faced with in Johannesburg is just an administrative issue than a political issue. So you will find that in a particular ward, a candidate was in an ANC meeting, the candidate was number 1. In the public meeting, the candidate was number 2. So at a level of administering registration with IEC, they registered a candidate number 1 produced out of an ANC meeting who's not number 1 in the public meeting against the guidelines which requires that number 1 must be the one who get registered. So we have those. We have those isolated cases, as I have indicated, less than 5. Those are the cases that we will have to correct immediately after elections. We have went to those communities ourselves as leadership.
Thank you so much there. We would love to just involve Pastor Ashley Sauls from the PA as well, and most probably pose the same question to him around the feeling about the party, the elections, the funding, the councillors' selections, the connecting to the disillusioned voter base, the election machinery, and the right message for the PA. And it's a fairly young party. But what's your take on that?
Thank you very much, Doc. And indeed, a fairly young party. We consider ourselves in the biblical sense, given that I'm a pastor, I cannot shy away from sort of linking our experience to the biblical experience. And the honorable leader there representing the ANC, we consider the ANC a political giant, a 109-year-old political giant, a champion from its youth. And we coming into this election as a 7-year-old David going against a Goliath. And we all know how that story ended. So we, as the Patriotic Alliance, we're extremely excited. We have worked very hard. We are hungry. We are driven. And we're ready for the 1st of November. We've worked very hard in terms of our preparations. We don't just have a presence on the ground, but also a presence online. As a matter of fact, our campaign is a balance of the door-to-door approach and also the digital approach. Online, the PA, Facebook is not blue. If the founder would admit it, Facebook currently is green, the real green. And so we are 100% prepared. As you would know, that there has been an issue when the candidate nomination cycle was closed. It was the ANC that was lacking behind. We were ready, we were on time, we were ready. And then, of course, the Concord opened it up again. And at the time, we actually contested in just over 900 wards. And we considered that an opportunity as well after the Concord made the decision to open it up again, and the timetable for the IEC changed and extended, so we were now able to add even more candidates.
Mr. Manganye, would you mind just to comment briefly on the elephant in the room? Helen Zeller and a few other commentators in the political arena, and this matter even went to court. There is a lot of aspersions cast on the credibility and integrity of the IEC. Did the INC give the ANC a back door to register the candidates for the 93 municipalities that it did not miss the deadline for?
Yeah, look, I mean, unfortunately, other political leaders, they are lazy to think. You know, let me give you a simple example. For you to register as a candidate in a ward, you're supposed to be a registered voter. As a simple example. So the Constitutional Court gave the IEC an option of opening voter registration weekend. So the implication of agreeing to open voter registration weekend, it had other unintended consequences. What are the other unintended consequences? It meant the people you are registering in that weekend, you are now making them somebody who was an unregistered voter and was not qualifying to become a candidate, will then become, you know, eligible to become a candidate after that weekend because they are now registered voters. So if you do not open voter registration, I mean a candidate registration, then you are prejudicing those that you have allowed to register and to qualify to become candidates. So this matter had nothing to do. It had to do with a logic. It's just a logical process the IEC follows in every election. Voter registration comes first, candidate registration follows after voter registration. Nothing more, nothing less. There was no any consideration to the African National Congress. It was just the process of IEC, which we happen to become a beneficiary of the process.
Okay. Before we go into the other issues that we are anxious to explore,
it's very interesting that it should also be considered logical that those unintended consequences somehow benefited the ANC. And it's also very logical that just before that happened, the ANC pulled their application away for asking...
Just for the purposes of the viewers now, you are referring to the court case that the ANC brought and asking for direct access to the Constitutional Court. And then just before...
Asking for the extension. They
just
applied
before,
for the extension.
Yeah, for extension of elections. And just before that court decision came out, 2 days before it, the ANC withdrew its court application. So what are you saying?
I'm trying to say, logically, right? Logically, one, if you assess that, logically you would want to consider, I mean, you don't know what the result of the Concord decision is going to be for the IEC. So it would be wise then for you, whilst you await that result, you keep yours on the roll. But the ANC confidently came prior to that. And they took that case, they dropped that matter, took it back, and then those unintended consequences benefited them. However, I want to say that the Patriotic Alliance will go on record that we don't put anything past the ANC. I mean, history has shown us for the past 27 years, you don't put anything past the ANC. They do certain things, and then they can explain it legally. But
Mr. Manganye, there's some very hot stuff in the atmosphere.
But Apostle, can I finish quickly?
Yes.
So you can never put anything past the ANC in terms of what they do and how they explain it. I mean, you have the Zondo Commission, for example. The corruption is clear. These issues on the Zondo Commission publicly, you have officials that is on record, almost admitting to having done the things, but nobody is arrested. Nobody is in prison. Why? It wasn't a trial. It was an inquiry. And so the ANC has a way of ensuring that they can explain the things that they do. But the PA wants to go on record. Let me
Gentlemen,
just go.
we want to go into the bread and butter
But
issues
let me just
of
go
local
on
government.
record. Let me go on record. Let
yes,
me go on
sir.
record. I want to go on record to say.
Yeah, I have to give him an opportunity just to
Please,
respond.
to finish. Allow me
And-
to
and-
finish.
Yes, sir.
I want to go on record in saying that the Patriotic Alliance, ons Baizani, we are not worried about whether or not that was the intention of the ANC, the unintended consequences benefiting them. We believe in the independence of the IEC, and we hope that on come 1st November, that will be fair and just elections for every single party and not just one other party. We are very, very, very happy as things stands now in terms of our preparation for the elections. But it is good for us that the ANC is coming like a Goliath, so that when the victory dawns, no one can make excuses and say it was because we were ill prepared. So I'm glad that the colleague is saying they are actually very prepared for the
Gentlemen,
battle.
we need to move on. Otherwise, we will not get out of this whole process here.
I must respond. There are a lot of accusations you have laid against the ANC, and we can't just move on.
Okay, go on. Let me hear.
Yeah, look, firstly is that you have a constitutional court case that has to do with a matter related to the matter you lodged in court. You get advice legally to say, wait for the constitutional court ruling before you continue with this application. And that's what the ANC did, just to follow the legal advice, which made sense because court ruling are final, you can't challenge them. The second issue, the Zondo Commission. It's not true that there have been revelations in Zondo Commission and there are no people who are in court. It's not true. I mean, for an example, Vincent Smith, who was a member of parliament of the ANC, is in court because of revelations that came out of the Zondo Commission. The issues which the Secretary General is charged with formed part of what the Zondo Commission have considered. Zondo Commission, so I'm saying Patriotic Alliance cannot lie to the public. Those are issues in the public, space, that there are a number of people who are in court because of the Zondo Commission, but also Zondo Commission work is not concluded. We're still waiting for the report, and I can assure you the president is going to just ask
extension. But okay, let's get the ball rolling into the other issues.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind response there, Mr. Sasabona. I really appreciate that. On the issue around municipalities, for both parties here, we just want to know exactly, if you look at the audited outcomes, given that only 27 out of the 257 municipalities achieved clean audits, which means, and also 83% of it was in the Western Cape. So in the most recent AG report on the municipalities, it declares that. So can we most probably just get light? How will this change in both spheres? How will the PA change that? And what will the ANC do to better that specific audit outcomes?
Thanks very much. You will remember that, and I remember I'm speaking on the Joburg specifically. In the financial year 2016-2017, the city of Joburg performance was around 48%, which was the first year of the DA-EFF rule. And they went to 59% 2017-2018, which declined subsequent year. And when we took over 2019-2020, our achievement was about 73%, which increased. And historically, if you have followed, City of Johannesburg and our performance there, you will know that we have done very well. And even in terms of the rating agencies have rated City of Johannesburg very well until when the DA took over and the ratings went down. So we are going back to government on the 1st of November. Hopefully this time the people of Johannesburg will go out to vote to ensure that we do not go there through a coalition, and we will be able to take the city of Johannesburg to its former glory, we never had those auditor general issues as the city of Johannesburg. Herman Mashaba took, wasteful expenditure, irregular expenditure from about 5 billion to 10 billion when they took over by 2019. So, which means they worsened, the irregularities that have been identified through the Auditor General in the city of Johannesburg. And we have reduced that 10 billion, and so far we are doing well. And after the 1st of November, we will be able to take the city back to its former glory.
Yeah, I think said we invited Mr. Mashaba here, and it would have been nice to have him on the set here. But just before we go to Mr. Sauls, Pastor Sauls, on the issue of audit outcomes, in fairness, Mr. Manganye, President Ramaphosa campaigned not just in 2017 in Nasrec to become ANC president, but also in 2019 to become the country's president. He campaigned on clean administration. And if we look at the audited outcomes since 1919, generally speaking, not just focusing on the city of Joburg, they have been regressing on the one thing that he has been campaigning. He said, I'm Mr. Clean, you vote me in, I turn it around. And we have not seen it. I mean, Sunday after Sunday, the Sunday newspapers are dominated by scandals, specifically in municipalities as they break. We have so many dysfunctional municipalities that the AG has pointed out. Some of them are at the fiscal cliff. They don't have a single cent to pay salaries. Some of them have started tapping into conditional grants to pay for operations. Some of them, it is they cannot fix a water pipe or a sister toilet to flush. So I hear what you say about City of Joburg, but also just for the sake of our extended viewer base here for people elsewhere, what is the ANC saying about the audit outcomes regressing on the watch of a president who campaigned on clean government?
You will remember that this is the first time President Ramaphosa is taking the ANC to local government elections. And one of the key things that are done differently now than before is how we select even mayors. You will know that Joburg was the first to go through interview process by the national office bearers themselves to determine whether this person is fit to become a mayor or not. They even consider your academic qualification, not only the fact that you have been in the struggle for long. Second to that, the Municipal Structural Act has been amended. It doesn't allow today for the people who are holding political offices to be employed, in the municipality, so that you avoid, allowing politics to play role in terms of service delivery and all those kind of issues. You want administration to be pure from non-partisan, so that those that are employed by the state are able to perform. So we have those problems where you will find that you have a CFO in a municipality. That CFO, is not even a chartered accountant or did not complete CIMA.
The council that appointed that CFO.
No. Remember the requirements at that particular point. They were allowing that you can have a CFO who can have a bachelor's degree in accounting or finance, which is a qualification that allows that person to perform that particular responsibility. And we are accepting the fact that we need to up the bar to ensure that we employ people that are well qualified. We employ people who are going to be able to do what is expected. In the city of Johannesburg, we don't have that history of employing people who are not qualified. We don't have such history.
It's fine. Let's hear
Pastor Sauls.
I think it's important for us as the PA to try and zoom into a different approach, or rather what we call a balanced approach of considering the performance of municipalities. We have this practice where we exclusively look at the ratings, we exclusively look at the Auditor General's report, and these are opinions, which is obviously from a professional perspective, which is good, but we also need to tie it with the experiences on the ground with people. For example, if you boast that the city of Joburg, the metro is doing so well financially and so on, good and well, that's one level of rating the performance of the city. Because even that opinion from the Auditor General comes from how you measure certain financial systems and how money has been spent, but also how it answers certain financial instruments. But how does that translate into the daily experiences of our residents? What's the ratings there? If you go onto the ground, if you go and you look at service delivery, you go and you look at water, electricity, all of those kind of stuff, what is the rating of the municipality with people on the ground?
Okay.
And so from the PA, what we're saying, despite the audit outcomes that all, even you have the DA boasting about clean audits in Midval, etc., that's good and well. But let us also zoom into what people are going through on the ground despite those audit outcomes. Does it speak to that? Does it speak to that reality? And I sit here and I say it doesn't. And so what the PA wants to do is to say that whatever we do within the municipality has to translate in a better quality of life for the people of the city of Joburg.
Okay, so here's my question to the two gentlemen. Local government is by far the most important sphere of the three spheres of government. Not only because it is closest to the people at the coalface of service delivery, but also because the rights that it must preserve are the basic constitutional rights. Access to clean water, sanitation, etc., etc., etc. Now, if you take something like this, like the procurement budget of a massive municipality like the city of Joburg, you have a budget of 73 billion in this financial year, of which 8 billion is for capital expenditure. In other words, for the benefit of the viewers, with that 8 billion, we must tar roads, upgrade water, upgrade sanitation system. We must do things that require capital. How do you as the PA intend to use the supply chain budget for two things? One, to transform the face of business, so that the WBHOs and the Bidvests and all the other special interests get out of the front of the line, and that emerging black business get an increasingly bigger size of the pie. That's my first thing. How do you use the SCM budget for transformation? And secondly, how do we use that massive budget to do something about youth development? Currently, youth unemployment is at 64%. Now, I know that the municipality doesn't create jobs, but you have a budget of 73 billion rand. You cannot also simply not do something about it. Pastor Sauls, you can go first on this one.
Like what's important for us is what has been, the approach that has been used by local government in this instance is an interventionary approach, where whatever budget allocations is given from what we've just spoken about, it's more of to create interventions for issues of joblessness, etc. But what we have to use is an approach of enablement. We must create a conducive environment where in which small businesses, where in which entrepreneurs are able to function in a way that causes them to thrive. And so what we want to do is invest and ensure that we create an enabling economic environment for small businesses to thrive. In terms of the issue of how we do that linked to transformation, we have to be clear about what we mean by black business. When we talk about empowering black business, what do we mean by that? Because currently the policy that has been created by the ruling party it defines us, specifically the colored community, as black. And so when we say black empowerment, what do we mean in terms of that legislation that says that we are black but not African in particular? So we are black in general, but not African in particular. So when we talk transformation, what the PA will do is to ensure that when we talk transformation, we say that every single resident of the city, irrespective of your racial group, has to benefit from the revenue.
Are you saying that a colored business person is at a disadvantage to what the ANC defines as an African black business
Yes,
person.
I'm saying it emphatically so, based on law that says we are black in general, that the colored race is black in general, but not African in particular.
Mr. Manganye, your response.
As a result,
For a minute, we're just getting back online. We lost him at some point, but we'll get back on that one. Go ahead.
so one of the issues of the Patriotic Alliance is to say that we are not a colored party. Let's be clear. We are a colorful party, but we are also unapologetic about colored marginalization. And it is clear on all fronts. And one of the reasons why that is because there's an intentional approach with this legislation to exclude specifically colored business, colored residents within the city. And that is a fact. It's not hearsay. It is a fact.
For the sake of we just for a moment lost Mr. Manganye for a while. For everybody out there, this is the Inside Show here, and I'm telling you, this is the mayoral candidates and also the representative of Johannesburg, the Johannesburg region. We have with us here Pastor Ashley Sauls from the PA and also Mr. Sasabona Manganye with us here. I would love Attie Van Nel just to repeat the question to Mr. Manganye, please.
Okay, Mr. Manganye, we just lost you there for a moment. Welcome back. So the question on the table is, with a massive budget of 73 billion in the city of Joburg and a capex budget of 8 billion, how can we use that budget for two things? One, to literally transform the face of business that does business with the state. How do we get the usual suspects like the WBHOs and the Group 5s and the Bidvests out of the queue and replace them with emerging black business? And secondly, how do we use that massive procurement muscle to bring unemployed youth into the mainstream?
Yeah, no, thanks very much, Attie. You will know that the ANC, prior to 2016, we had a program called, Josie at Work. The program Josie at Work was meant to prioritize SMMEs, take away the red tapes, which were informed by even the legislations where you find that small players have to compete with the bigger players. So it was more of a program that allows us to can deliberately empower SMMEs because we believe that through empowering SMMEs, we will be able at least to create more employment because, the role of the state is to create an environment that is conducive, for the private sector to create an employment, for more people in Johannesburg. And that program, Josie at Work, it's a program that we are going to reintroduce. You will know that part of the reasons for Mashaba to insource some of the workers was informed by him challenging the Josie at Work program, which is the Josie at Work that allows SMMEs to do the work that normally the city will do. SMMEs can be able to assist us in patching of the potholes. SMMEs can be able to assist us in cleaning Johannesburg. SMMEs can be able to assist us,
In a metro like the city of Joburg, you can emphatically say that since you have reclaimed the administration from the DAEFF coalition, that you have repurposed the SEM budget and that the small black businessmen in the city of Joburg can really feel that the happy days of Bidvest and WBHO are over and that there's an intentional mandate to gear that budget towards black business.
Not entirely. Remember, we are working on the budget that was planned and informed by the IDP that the DA administration have put in the city of Johannesburg, when they took over in 2016. So we are currently obviously operating we have tried to make adjustments, but to a certain there are certain things that you can do. There are those that you might not be able to do in terms of regulations. But at the end of the day, we believe that when we take over on the 1st of November, at least through our IDP processes that are also guided by our manifesto, we will be able to do so. For now, we haven't fully been able to reintroduce Josie at Work program. Of how
when you were offline, Pastor Sauls, the mayoral candidate for the Patriotic Alliance, put out a very strong allegation. He said, if the Patriotic Alliance takes over the city of Joburg, they will not interpret black or African in particular to exclude the colored business person, but they will drive the procurement processes of the city in a manner that whether someone is from Eldos or someone is from Soweto, they will compete on equal footing for a share of the procurement stake of the city of Joburg.
We in Johannesburg, we don't have a crisis because colored communities are designated groups, in terms of your BEE, where we do not have a crisis of them being discriminated over other racial groupings. We don't have that.
Mr. Manganye said there's no crisis.
It's a simple question.
Yeah, not in Johannesburg. It says in Johannesburg, what you talk of is outside of Johannesburg. In Johannesburg, someone from Eldos and someone from Soweto, equal footing.
Let's just...
Let me explain this in full. The issue of characterizing racial groupings is not a local government issue. So we must not come here and promise voters things that are impossible to do. It's a national regulatory issue that any municipality can't do anything about. So hence I'm saying in the city of Johannesburg, based on those designated groups, because Indians, colored, are part of the designated groups, including blacks and...
Let's give him an opportunity to respond.
Perhaps our learned colleague should answer, based on that policy, is coloreds considered African?
That's a direct question, Mr. Manganye.
Can you repeat his question? I'm struggling to hear him every time he speaks.
Based on the policy that speaks of economic development, even on a local scale, is colored communities considered African?
So, yeah, look, the question must be, who does the legislation empower? Because you see, the political discussion that he's having, for me, those are semantics of who is designated as what, the fact that blacks are designated as Africans in the BEE, it doesn't make coloreds less important or Indians less important. All of us are blacks as a designated groups that must benefit out of the procurement processes. So the issue of the fact that we are referring blacks as African and colored as colored, Indian as Indians, and all of us as blacks in one category. Those are just semantics. But in terms of the empowerment itself, we are all recognized as the groups that are historically disadvantaged and the groups that must be empowered. And I said there is no crisis there. It's a debate that has to do with what name do you use to call who.
Not just semantics.
And it's important for now and at this level of local government. It's a debate that you can have to influence the national legislations to reflect it the way you might want it to be. But winning city of Joburg is not going to give you the power to change that.
I beg to differ because those things need to be executed on local government level. It has to be. And those politics... Allow me to finish. Allow me to...
You need to win
Mr.
parliament.
Manganye, in fairness, let's allow him to respond. Shoot, sir.
Apparently now you can hear me.
Shoot, Pastor Sauls.
So it's not just semantics. It's the reality of people on the ground. It's the reality of colored people on the ground. And for my colleague here to speak as though these things doesn't affect us locally is a problem. I'll show how it affects us.
Yeah, Mr. Manganye, give him an opportunity. Give him an opportunity. That's why I wanted you in the studio, because then we can. Okay, shoot.
Maybe we should do the muting again, and that will help. So this is how the process works. So when you have these multi-billion rand contracts coming to different communities for development, the colored group is not considered. Preferred is what the ANC calls African in particular. I'll make a simple example. As we sit here now, if I say go inside of the studio and please go and get me and speak to everyone in general who's in studio, but specifically give this cup to the one with the cap in particular. Indeed, you're going to come in here with a cup. You're going to approach everybody in general, but who's going to get the cup? The one with the cap in particular. This is how this is done. So now the main contractor who gets the multi-million rand profit goes into a local community. He has a multi-million rand contract to, let's say, develop a school. Then the process says he must now get subcontractors. That main contractor is never the colored. That main contractor is another race. So the economic benefit that is now being called semantics, in reality, does not benefit the colored communities. Intentional marginalization. Then the SMMEs now subcontracts, right? So they have to now, ideally, they have to supply and they have to be responsible for labor. But what happens is, on the ground, they have on paper an SMME is contracted in a colored community, but that SMME doesn't operate like an SMME, doesn't supply. It's just a laborer and gets paid a salary. And this is intentional marginalization. And so we're saying that when we come into power, this is going to change.
Okay, yes. 30 seconds.
The problem the pastor is raising is not a colored problem. It's a problem that is experienced by designated groups. So if you check, for an example, in the construction industry, who are the big players? Generally white owned. They are not even necessarily black or African, as he put it, or colored and all, and etc.
But now the question to be, Mr. Manganye, who made them big? Because if the same players since 94 get all the schools and the dams and the roads, then it means it's under an ANC administration that we made the big even bigger.
And let's just qualify. I did not say.
No. I'm quickly just raising my own issue here, Pastor Sauls, with Mr. Manganye. I'm just saying.
That is why in Gauteng we have got a township bill. That township economic bill, it is meant to ensure that the legislation assists us to deliberately empower the designated groups. And when I talk about the designated group, I'm talking about blacks, which include colored, which are not beneficiaries, which include Africans who are not beneficiaries. So the problem which the pastor is raising, it's a real problem which affects all the designated groups. To say that we want them to become main contractors.
And Pastor Sauls, let's move on because our time is almost up. And thank you so much for your grace here in the studio here. And my final question here is, I would love us to move on to urban renewal, specifically about the inner city, and also about how we turn into a slum, literally into a slum, and how the inner city degrades almost on a daily basis. But then there's also a twin problem documented with them, which we will call the foreigners or undocumented foreigners or nationals. What's the view of both parties around how do they plan to fix the city And what is their plan about undocumented foreign nationals? Let's start with you, Pastor Sauls.
When we take over on the 2nd of November at 9 o'clock, by 3 o'clock, undocumented foreigners will have to leave the city, will have to go home. And it's the ANC that has created this monster that we are facing right now. They have this approach of what they speak about open border, the open border policy, etc., etc. And it is South African citizens, rate-paying, tax-paying South African citizens who is experiencing this problem. So when we come into power, we are not going to play with power. We are going to ensure that undocumented immigrants leaves and go home. It's clear as that.
Mr. Manganye, what's your take on Pastor Sauls' statement there? It sounds rather strong to me if you look at from a humanitarian perspective.
Let me firstly outline the position of the ANC on the undocumented foreign nationals. We are very clear that we do not want a country that is dominated by undocumented foreign nationals. Undocumented foreign nationals have a potential to bring problems into the country because they are not traceable. In terms of service delivery, you can't, include them when you do your planning on the basis that you are not expecting them to be in the country. And as a result, they overload our services to an extent that our people in general, they are unable to access basic services on the basis of undocumented foreign nationals. And definitely our position is very clear that any undocumented foreign nationals must be taken back to their countries of origin if they don't want to regulate themselves. You will know that the government for some times have tried to come up with programs to allow them to ensure that they register themselves, they become official, and some they took an advantage of such. But in terms of the inner city regeneration, the inner city itself, we want to have an inner city that is safer, healthier, and we want to fight crime, drugs, and alcohol abuse. And that is why we want to ensure that all those that are not documented, are not within our cities, are not within our townships. The Home Affairs, working with the South African Police Services, they are able to do their work to ensure that the undocumented foreign nationals are taken back to their
political parties
Across the spectrum agree on the issue of undocumented foreign nationals. Why does the Joburg inner city look the way it is? Because no investor will open a small manufacturing plant or a retail store or any nature of business in a place where someone can urinate in public right in front of your store, or can pick up a prostitute for 50 rand run by some Nigerian trafficking ring. If across the board in the council chambers you sing from the same hymn sheet, why is the inner city the slum that it is, infested with undocumented foreign nationals, driving the crime rate up and causing all manner of socio-economic problems?
No, we are not singing from the same hymn sheet.
Yeah.
We are singing. They just have the sheet. Right? We are the ones singing. We are saying, you hear the ANC saying what we want to do. After 27 years, you still want to do. We are saying what we are going to do. That's the difference in what we're saying. We say,
There's a criticism here, Mr. Manganye.
We're saying when we come, we are going to. How can you be in, let me finish. How can you be in power? You in power. You have the power. You still say you want to.
You have the question, Mr. Manganye.
Yes, look, we need to understand that we are talking about the ANC in Johannesburg. We have run a number of raids in the inner city in particular when we were in charge. Before 2016, number of raids were undocumented foreign nationals. There are lots of things that we found working with the national government, especially SAPS and Home Affairs and all that. There are lots of discoveries that we have done. But at the end of the day, I'm saying that it's one program that we want to reprioritize going to 2021, the 1st of November, when we take over, to ensure that we clean the inner cities, because we want the inner cities to go back to their former glory. And the only way to do so is to ensure that people who are not supposed to be there are taken out of the inner cities, and in majority is foreign nationals.
The inner cities, for as long as it's not developed, the real cost to South Africans is new jobs are not created there.
Ask the ANC who is buying buildings in the inner city. Ask him, is it South Africans? Who is this government selling buildings to in the inner city?
Mr. Manganye?
No, you see, the government buildings, you see, what you need to understand the inner city, you have got buildings that are privately owned, which are not government owned. Government buildings are the buildings that we are transforming and renovating for social housing. We are not selling any of the buildings. There is no government building being sold. The government buildings are, there is partnership.
We have time for only 2 more questions, and I'm going to give you 30 seconds.
Let me qualify. This act of, I said,
renovate these buildings for social housing, which are affordable for the people. We are not selling buildings.
Let's
be clear about this. We understand the relationship between the public and private sector. We are saying that as government, you need to intervene on behalf of the citizens. The citizens of South Africa must benefit first. There's no intervention from the ruling party. That's the point. When I'll show you. Let me show you.
How can a government intervene on you selling your house? How can government intervene? It's your own choice. If you sell it, if you sell it to a foreign national, what is the role of government? To say no, don't sell it to a foreign national.
That statement assumes
we can intervene on the government-owned properties.
Yes, that statement
assumes that the one who's owning the building is a South African citizen. So how can the government intervene when a South African citizen sells his building? But in this instance, you have a situation where undocumented foreigners are owning buildings here in the city. How are you going to get urban renewal? And you cannot tell me that government cannot intervene. Well, it is clear.
Well, it is sell a foreign national. What must government do?
Is saying that they cannot do anything about it. The PA is saying we will do something about it.
Okay, there's something about that hymn sheet. Can we take that hymn sheet back? Can we take that hymn sheet back as the host? Just before we move on to the last questions, are there any questions from our viewers?
Yeah.
Is there any comment coming in?
Okay, let's just get to this one point here. If you appear to older problems that we already have, we also realize that the new mayor who was just elected, or rather signed in or sworn in, Mr. Mpo, was sworn in last Friday. He pledged to use the last month of this term to solve the billing crisis. That's what he said. And how old is this crisis? Spanning 2 administrations and 4 mayors, and it's still not solved. What's the solution for the billing crisis, Mr. Manganye?
The issue of the billing crisis, you will know that it is true that it's a historic issue, and I think the executive mayor have indicated that part of the priorities is to solve the billing crisis, because you will know that the company that was responsible for our SEP program, there were challenges with that particular company, the Zondo Commission issues and all that. And the city of Johannesburg engaged in a new competitive process to get a new service provider to manage the SEP system that is very central into the billing system. And what he meant was to say that they will want to speed up the process of appointing a service provider who will assist us to urgently address the billing problem that we have in the city of Johannesburg.
But I think what Dr. Hendricks is raising,
the billing crisis dates back from the administration under Mayor Parkstow. Then the DA took over under Mayor Mashaba. That's another 5 years. Then the ANC took over under Mayor Mokubu. And then Mayor Makubu unfortunately passed away, and then it became Mayor Joladi. And then he unfortunately passed away. Now what Dr. Hendricks is saying, there's 1 month left in a 5-year term. And it was shocking to him to find that the priority of the new mayor is a crisis that is that out. So the question is, where is the capacity to solve systemic problems?
Yeah. So remember, the mayor has been part of the mayoral committee since 2019 December. So he knows what has been done, which the tender was long closed. So they are in the process of finalizing to appoint a new service provider. So he was speaking from that informed position that this problem that we had for a very long time, we are about to get a service provider who will assist us to resolve it.
The ANC doesn't want to solve this problem.
The ANC is lying to the public. If the only issue is getting another service provider, you couldn't do it for all this time, you are now going to do it miraculously in the next 3 weeks. It's impossible. What should happen is, can I have
Yes.
Protect me here.
Let's protect him. You protected Pastor Sauls.
I keep quiet.
Yeah.
When the ANC speaks.
Yes, you do.
When the PA speaks, the ANC must be silent.
Yes.
So we are saying they are lying. They are not interested in fixing the building problem. As long as the residents of the city is paying the price, ANC doesn't care. I'll tell you why. The current executive mayor was in the same mayoral committee when the late Joladi was the MMC for finance, whilst the late Jeff Mukubo was the mayor. And it is in council with the MMC of finance then, when the question was posed in council, what are we going to do about the billing process? People are being billed more than what they are consuming. The response of the MMC of finance then, which then became mayor, was that it is just something that we are going to have to deal with, and it's on record. It is just something that we are going to have to deal with. We are still planning to sort out the matter, but as things stands now, there is no intentional change that's going to come. That was the question. And it is on record, right? Now, miraculously.
Yes, Mr. Manganye.
Are you
Can I protect the late?
Was that the response? Is that true?
No.
That the MMC for
Finance at the time basically said to the citizens of Joburg, live with it.
Yes.
No, that's not true, Attie. That's why I'm saying
that's the spokesperson for spokesperson for the ANC
in the Joburg region.
In the Joburg region. That's the spokesperson.
Yes, gentlemen. Gentlemen, we can't hear you. You see, I used the wrong thing when I said the hymn sheet.
But
you are singing all the time.
I have a problem with this. I have a problem with this approach.
Yes.
Not allowing me to respond. You ask me a question. You ask me whether is it true what he's saying, and I'm saying he's lying. When the tender process commenced to resolve the sub problem, it was under MMC Matongo. He was still MMC of finance.
And when was that?
Kubo was still a mayor early this year.
So in 8 months, let's say it was February. So in 8 months, we cannot advertise, evaluate, adjudicate, and award a tender.
He's lying.
Attie, let me assist you, Attie. We were waiting
to be assisted.
I'm saying,
can I assist you?
Let's say, argument's sake, the tender was advertised in February. A tender runs 30 days. So by March, the committee for evaluation had to sit. By April, the committee for adjudication. By May, there was supposed to be an award letter.
Attie, let me explain to you.
Yes, Baba.
The reason why it was resolved this year, it was because the contract that was there was expiring this year. So the tender process, it's a process that is managed obviously by officials whom are about to finalize that particular process. I'm not sure how far they are, but I know that they are
seconds, Pastor Sauls.
No, that's unfair, my leader. That is very unfair.
Okay, you've got 45
the
seconds.
ANC has the right to interject when I speak. My statement is not finished.
I interjected to both. No,
it's wrong.
be fair. I
Let
interjected
me
to
finish.
both to get the discussion to move. Yes.
There he goes again.
Yeah. No, Mr. Manganye, I don't want to press the mute button, Chief. Shoot, Pastor.
The ANC is lying.
Yes.
So, firstly, the reason why there's a new service provider needed is because the first one that they got was corrupt. It didn't deliver the service as it was supposed to. That's why the billing problem was created. Now it is the residents that must suffer because of a default on their part. And now he's saying I'm lying. He's a spokesperson for ANC in Joburg. He doesn't sit in council. I sit in council. I was in council when the MMC of Finance then responded in that way. It's on record. I am not lying.
Okay.
So the ANC does not have the political will to deal with the billing issues of the city of Joburg.
Okay, gentlemen, two more.
The Patriotic Alliance does not talk of I want to. We have a program. We are dealing with the service provider. No, we are saying when we come in on the 2nd of November, we will deal with this issue. We come in at 9 by 3 o'clock. These issues will be dealt with, not completely, of course, but we are going to do more in a less space of time than what the ANC keep on promising.
We're going to have a show on the 2nd of November at 3 p.m. But gentlemen, let me go to the next two.
We should wrap up now. We should
wrap up.
Mr. Van Nel.
In closing.
Mr. Van Nel.
Just hold Mr. Manganye.
Yeah, Mr. Manganye, I'm giving you an opportunity now. We just want to wrap up the show. We're done with the show, but I just want to thank you again for willingly coming onto the show. So kind of you, and we really appreciate that. And I really wish you as the ANC well with your endeavor to get the city up and running again. And I just want to thank again the pastor of the PA, Mr. Sauls, for also availing himself to come onto the show. I just want to give both of you an opportunity just to wrap up. And why do you think we should vote for ANC, and why do you think we should vote for PA? Give us a rundown why we should vote for ANC.
No, thanks very much. The ANC recommit itself to create an economic growth that is going to create employment and reduce poverty in the city of Johannesburg. We are committing ourselves in creating support for the informal economy, because we believe it will assist us to grow, to grow the small, micro, medium enterprises. We commit ourselves to 100% implementation of the green economy program. We are committing ourselves to create sustainable human settlement. We are further committing ourselves to build a smart city and innovative city of Johannesburg. In the next coming 5 years, you must see the city of Johannesburg being a smart city. We are committing ourselves to creating a safe city. We are committing ourselves to ensure that the electricity challenges that are faced by areas that are supplied by Eskom, we take over from Eskom those areas and use city power to ensure that our people have got lights. So it's important that the people of Johannesburg vote for the African National Congress so that we can continue with programs like Josie at Work that are meant to empower our people on the ground. Thanks very much.
A spokesperson for the region of Johannesburg. Thank you so much for your kindness. I would love to give an opportunity fairly to Pastor Ashley Sauls as well from the PA.
We are not going to follow the same route of other political parties, promising a list of things and not doing it. It is clear that, and I just want to say, just before I conclude, to say that we agree the ANC needs self-renewal. And that self-renewal must happen outside of government. Go renew yourself whilst we replace you. And when we replace the ANC, what we promise to the residents of this city is not a list of things. We are promising you the most rare commodity in politics right now. It is truth and transparency. We are promising a government of truth and transparency. We're promising a government of transparent service and real delivery. We've already done it in El Dorado Park, and if we had an opportunity, I would have shared the things that we've done within the wards that we already govern. But people has experienced already real delivery. Not speaking of delivery, but real delivery. So Muni Baizani, vote PA on the 1st of November, and let's send the ANC to go do self-renewal whilst we replace them.
I just want to thank my co-host here, and I would love closing remarks from Attie Van Nel. and also thank both parties.
It's unfortunate. I would really have wanted us to get to the issue of your posture towards coalitions if any of you managed to deliver an outright victory. And the city of Joburg, as well as Tshwane, has been very unstable with the coalitions in the last administration. But thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming, addressing the voter directly, dealing with our incisive and tough questions. Nothing of this had any other agenda but to empower the voter. And it is our plea from the Inside Show. What is the point of having queued to register and you don't rock up on voting day? That's your power. Go, don't stay away, don't spoil your ballot, go and vote.
Yes, from my side, next week we will have here in the show, we'll have the EFF here. We'll also have the DA here and also the African Christian Democratic Party, the ACDP, with us here in the studio. We'll try our utmost back to get the Mr. Herman Mashaba back into the studio. For one reason or the other, he could not make it. But I would, just from my side again, wants to thank Mr. Sasabona Manganye. Thank you so much, sir. Kind of you for coming on to the show, the spokesperson of the Johannesburg region. And also I would love to thank Mr. Pastor Ashley Sauls from the PA, also the mayoral candidate for the PA. We'd love to thank both of you for coming on to the Inside Show. We're going to run this whole show on the political platform for this whole month. It's going to be politics on the Inside Show. From me to you, mwah, I love you. God bless you. Have a super wonderful Tuesday. Take care, gentlemen, and goodbye. Good morning, everybody. It is so good to have you here with me. Imagine if you have your vision as the car with the right team. Imagine how quick that vision will come into the pit. Something that was taking 5 years takes 3 months. This morning is all about the leadership and influence.